الذي هدانا لهذا وما كنا لنهتدي لولا أن هدانا الله والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين شفيع ذنوبنا وطبيب نفوسنا وحبيب قلوبنا أبي القاسم محمد وآله الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المظلومين وأصحابه المنتجبين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. أما بعد، السلام عليكم جميعا ورحمة الله وبركاته. أعظم الله أجورنا وأجوركم بمسابنا بالشهادة واستشهاد بنت رسول الله فاطمة الزهراء سلام الله عليها. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. The illustrious lady leaves us with two understandings or two notions of what it means to be a righteous person and to be a befitting human being and a person who has served the purpose of their existence. I want to go through both of them very, very briefly. The first thing is that this high rank that the illustrious lady has. We have two narrations from Bibi Aisha. The first one is that she says that the Prophet said that Fatima Sayyidatu an-Nisa, that Fatima is the queen of women. Now in that particular narration, what is hinted at is that Lady Maryam was the queen of her time, and Lady Fatima is the queen of her time. In another narration, Bibi Aisha narrates that the Prophet said that Fatima Sayyidatu Nisa'il Alameen, that Fatima is the queen of the women of the worlds, including Lady Maryam. So Fatima Salamullah Alayha is the highest ranking female that has ever existed within the folds of humanity. Now here comes a question. What makes her worthy of such a rank? If we look at her life is very small. If we look at her contributions, yes, her contributions are great in terms of her service to her father and to the cause that the Blessed Prophet served. But even then, a mere age of 18 or 25, how would that qualify a person to arrive at such a lofty rank? The Prophet struggled for 63 years, Ali ibn Abi Talib for 63 years, so on and so forth. They have struggled before they have made such a change within the human community and they have acquired such an esteemed position. Here is a lady at the age of 18 or 25. So what is the factor that gives her such a prominent stature and a position with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? If we can draw our attention back to Bibi Maryam. Now we know Lady Maryam, there is no question she was grand and phenomenally grand. The fact that the Quran speaks of her in several places, the fact that a whole surah is named after her. In Surah Ali Imran she's been spoken about prominently. In Surah Maryam she's been spoken about prominently. In Surah Anbiya Allah pays her tribute. And in many other chapters Allah mentions her name alongside Nabi Isa salamullah alayhi. Now what did Lady Maryam do in terms of societal reform or gems of wisdom that she left behind? We do not find anything there. Yet when Zakaria comes upon Bibi Maryam, he says to Bibi Maryam, where do you get all this sustenance from? And she responds, this is from the grace of my Lord. So it shows here that the reason why Lady Maryam was so preferred to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and so prominent as a figure was due to her inner purity and that phenomenal relationship that she had with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that spiritual connection. And it was that spiritual connection that gives Lady Maryam that prominence. Not striving to rectify society per se, not preaching the word of God per se, but her internal state of being, her refined spirituality and her God centricity was what gave Lady Maryam that status of being the queen of women in her time. And it gave her that honor of hosting the Spirit of God and the Word of God within her womb, who later on goes and changes the whole world. But it is not due to Isa that she acquires her prominence. It is due to her own inner state of purity, her God centricity, her enlightened soul. And that is why Lady Maryam is a very young woman when she carries Nabi Isa, and by that time God already vouches for her purity and her spiritual status. Wallati, the verse on Surah Anbiya, Wallati ahsanat farjaha, and the one who kept herself very, very chaste, and we blew into her of our spirit. So if we look at it that way, then it becomes very much more clear that Bibi Fatima's rank fundamentally and primarily is due to her inner state of spirituality and purity, her God centricity and her state of connectedness with God. So here we don't have to go after all the other things that an individual might or might not have done. The criterion for such veneration from Allah and greatness among humanity is squarely one's own state of spirituality and connectedness to God and God centricity. And that stands to reason because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions in the Quran, وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ. I have not created man and jinn save that they may devote themselves to me. I do not ask them to feed me, nor do I ask them for sustenance. So if that was the primary objective, then it seems that the end of the journey for humanity is to acquire this very deep-seated spiritual state, refined spirituality and God centricity, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is enough for us. So it seems very much that Lady Fatima was of that stature within herself, that beautiful God centricity and spirituality that was unequaled, unmatched. And that is why she acquires that prominent position of being the Sayyida Nisa al-Alameen. I'm not here in the business of comparing people with people, but when you look at the stature of Lady Maryam, or Lady Asiya, or Lady Khadija, these are no ordinary women. To be considered above them, you really do need to have some merit. And that merit seems to be in the singular factor of being God-centered and spiritually connected with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Here is an invitation for us to think as well, that maybe in this world of ours, we need to understand that there are figures who are very God-centered, very, very spiritual figures, who maybe are going unnoticed, but they are the true lights of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on the face of this earth. Maybe they are the people through whom the rest of the earth is being kept in relative safety, and the people and the inhabitants of the earth are prospering due to such noble souls. And if that notion can be developed, then we can maybe find it much easier to understand the existence of a person like the 12th Imam, who doesn't necessarily physically have to be involved in this world, resolving and sorting out our day-to-day affairs, which we are duty-bound to resolve and sort out as we mature in our evolutionary journey. But at that spiritual level, these are the wonderful, beautiful, godly lights that actually ensure the well-being of the inhabitants of the people of the earth. Allah indeed says in the Quran that, O Muhammad, had you not, whilst you are with them, Allah will not punish them. Or, so long as they seek forgiveness, I will not punish them. But the point is that the Prophet is being told that whilst you're amongst them, I will not punish them. It is because of that beautiful spirituality of the Prophet that procures goodness from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for the inhabitants of this earth. Maybe we need to look into this notion that there may not be people who are physically contributing, but who are spiritually contributing to the well-being of humanity at large. It appears very much to me after reading about Lady Fatima that Lady Fatima appears to be that sort of a profound individual whose spiritual light ensures goodness upon the inhabitants of the earth. Otherwise, why would the Prophet bestow upon her such a profound title, so lavishly giving her that rank that is beyond Lady Maryam and Asiya and Bibi Khadija? So it shows that not only is she very, very spiritual and God-centered, but that people like these may also be an essential part of human life in all eras. That there have to be people like these who are existent upon the face of this earth, even though we may not notice them or we may not understand their true rank. But through them, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala actually safeguards the inhabitants of the earth and brings them to a level of prosperity, growth, and refined state of existence. And if that is the case, then it is not therefore far-fetched to say that we can ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through such spiritual lights to bestow upon us favorably and to remove from us all those things which are unbearable or difficulties and tribulations. If we understand the Tawheed of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and we can place these figures within the ambit of the Tawheed of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then there is nothing wrong in saying, "Oh Allah, for the sake of these chosen ones of yours, these creme de la creme of humanity," because we take pride in them as well. They are humans. They are a product of our humanity at a height at which we aspire to reach. So when we beseech God through these people, we are actually beseeching God through His own handiwork. I'll just finish at this point here, that I do not find much distinction between saying, "Oh Allah, I ask you through your might, through your clemency," between this statement and the statement of, "Oh Allah, I ask you through your noble creation." As your might is yours, your noble creatures are yours as well. As you take pride in your might and your splendor, and through that you can bestow, similarly you take pride in what you have created. And the noble individuals that you have created is a compliment to you, O God. It's a form of praising you. So I do not find any difficulty in saying to Allah, "Oh Allah, for the sake of your best of your creatures, the great prophets that you have sent, the blessed Prophet Muhammad, the blessed queen of all women, Fatima, O Lord, bring us to a greater level of enlightenment. Forgive us our sins. See to our needs. Bring a better state of existence upon the face of this earth." I think that would be perfectly in keeping with the Tawheed of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, especially if the Prophet has said that Fatima is Sayyida Nisa al-Alameen. So we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, for the sake of Lady Fatima, to bestow upon us favorably and to bring goodness to this earth of ours, to forgive those who have gone before us, and to increase us in our light, and to see to our needs and remove from us everything that is unfavorable for our well-being. And with that, let us pray Surah Fatiha for all our marhumeen and all those who have lost their lives from our human family. Al-Fatiha. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Wal asr innal insana lafi khusr illa alladhina amanu wa amilus salihat wa tawasaw bil haqqi wa tawasaw bis sabr. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala ashrafil anbiya'i wal mursaleen wa alihi at-tayyibin at-tahirin wa ashabihi al-muntajibin. Amma ba'd, assalamu alaykum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. One of the things about Lady Fatima was her resolve in the mission of the Prophet. Now, we've mentioned this before, that the title that she is the mother of her father was given to her because of her belief in what the Prophet was doing. She became that moral support for the Blessed Prophet. She became the pillar of his strength. She spurred him on. In the humanness of the Prophet, it is only natural that at times you have moments in which you feel a little bit defeated from within. It's but natural. But then you have somebody who believes in you, who actually spurs you on and into action, has confidence in you. And that person can only be somebody who attaches themselves with you at a very intimate level. Somebody who is not emotionally attached with you only, but at an intellectual level and a spiritual level. If somebody like that says to you, I believe in you fully and in your mission, I'm invested in it, go forward and I'm behind you, then that has that ability to spur you on. It is a very potent support. 1,000 people might say to you, look, I believe in you, but you know they don't know you intimately. They don't understand your message intimately. For them, they've just become convinced on a particular argument. But for somebody who understands you in an intimate manner and has invested in your message at a very deep level, who understands whatever you're saying and then says, look, it makes perfect sense, go ahead. After hardship, there will be ease. At that point, we find a certain level of security within ourselves in what we are doing. We are spurred on. Especially if somebody says, look, I fully believe that this is from Allah and Allah's hand is with you and Allah shall not leave you without assistance. He will not abandon you. Then that has that ability to spur us on into our mission. The Quran repeatedly says to the Prophet, Innaka laminal mursaleen, you are indeed a messenger. This is for those moments when a person engages that momentary level of lack of resolve. You are the messenger. You are the apostle. Do not waver in your resolve. You are. I'm giving you assurances that you are. That level of endorsement is needed. And Fatima provided that level of endorsement for her father. And that is why she qualifies as the mother of her father. It is only a mother who believes truly within what their children are doing, that they can spur them into action. And this is the role that Fatima played. So she was very, very invested in the message of the Prophet. At the same time, Imam Ali did not pay any heed to the call of allegiance whilst Lady Fatima was alive. And now we know this. As Muslims, we know this, Sunnis and Shias. That just shows that she had this understanding that no, this is something that will not be beneficial for the Muslim community. And I say this very clearly, that yes, taking Ali ibn Abi Talib out of the picture in the early state of Khilafah was to the detriment of the Muslim Ummah. There is no doubt of it. I respect Abu Bakr and Umar and Uthman, but there is no doubt that by not letting Ali ibn Abi Talib be the first Khalifa, it was to the detriment of the Muslim Ummah. Who can deny this? He was not an expansionist. He would not have gone and conquered land. He would be like the Prophet. He would conquer the hearts. Look at the crisis that we have today. We have 1.7 billion Muslims, but they don't have that example, spiritual, moral example that they can look up to after the Prophet, through which then they can fare. So yes, it was to the detriment of the Muslim Ummah, without a doubt. So Fatima, Salamullah alayha, saw this. And in some of her statements, we actually get this sense that whatever I'm doing, my adamant resolve to concede to the Khilafah at this point is only for the betterment of the Ummah. So we can see from this that she was very, very resolute in what she wanted, and she was truly invested within the well-being of the Ummah. However, what we need to learn from Lady Fatima is not how resolved she was in opposing what she believed was detrimental, but we need to look at it in the other side, from the other side, that Lady Fatima was actually concerned about the well-being of the Ummah. And therefore, according to her logic, whatever is counterproductive for the Ummah should be avoided. It is here now that the Muslim community needs to understand that if we want to pay this great lady a tribute, then a befitting tribute would be to get away from whatever fuels sectarian tension. If her concern was the message of her father and what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was giving, then the message of her father and whatever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was giving was the creation of a noble ummah. Now the Muslims cannot justify themselves if they make Ali ibn Abi Talib or Lady Fatima a point of division and contention. If we were to look at her logic very clearly, she was concerned about what will happen to the Ummah. If we were to look at it in that way, then we will say that it is absolutely haram and not allowed to use that noble lady herself to create further tension within the Ummah. Because that is what she stood against. At the one level, she has this high state of spirituality which would spur us on towards spiritually being connected to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. On the other hand, she had this great level of concern for the well-being of the Ummah. And if we are indeed true to her, then we would now step back, re-examine ourselves, reassess ourselves, and say that whatever we are doing in the name of Lady Fatima is not in keeping with what she stood for. It is inconsistent with whatever she strove to achieve, and whatever her father was trying to achieve, and whatever Ali ibn Abi Talib was trying to achieve. I want to finish with one last statement. The dhakireen and the preachers, they need to be careful as to what they say from the pulpit. It is a trend when you are born inside a community and inside a religion to listen to others and then to narrate what they have said. For preachers, there should be a duty incumbent upon them to go and search out what is authentic and then only say that which can be proven to be authentic. The Hawza religious seminaries, wherever they are in the world, should not only teach people usul and fiqh, should teach them critically how to understand theology and history, early history. The sectarian tension is not fueled by fiqh and usul. It is fueled by inaccurate history and inaccurate theology. So the preachers, first and foremost, need to maintain their silence until they have researched their subject properly. And then when they preach, they should be held accountable for whatever they are saying. In fact, there should be a trend of telling a preacher to provide a reference for whatever they are saying after the lecture, or even during the lecture if they are saying things which are absurdly inaccurate. And how many times do we find preachers saying that this is A mustanad riwayah. Mustanad means that it has all the links of the chain. But that sanad could be false. Could have come 3 centuries after the Prophet. It being mustanad doesn't mean much. Anybody can be making riwayat up and people go and narrate them. So this is a duty incumbent upon our preachers, that they must research what is authentic and commit themselves only to that which is authentic. If, I always say, I find what Khalifa Abu Bakr did in Fadak was totally unacceptable, well, stand here and I say it, no matter what the consequence of it, without being rude, without demeaning, without criticizing, without cursing. That's objectively what I say. But if I cannot establish something, then do I have a similar right to go and say things? Or if it is mere hearsay, do I have a right to go and transmit it? So if the preachers indeed are followers of the Prophet and his family, then they should be duty bound. Yes? They should impose this duty upon themselves. The Hawzas should teach them how to understand history. And by the way, this is some of my final remark. Historian is not somebody who reads 10,000 books of history. Historian is somebody who understands the historicity of the events, who understands what is authentic from history and what is not. But unfortunately, because the bar is set so low for our preachers, anybody who has read a few books becomes a historian. It's just like anybody who reads a few books of philosophy becomes a philosopher. A philosopher is somebody who can think accurately, right? Not somebody who's read a few books of philosophy. I think here we need to look into things very, very accurately and try and understand that those beautiful divine personalities who are meant to spur our growth, love and affection, bonding, are being used as means of tension and sectarian violence and division. The preachers have a big, big role to play in this, to make things work, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give them the tawfiq, because they are the ideal ones who can turn the situation around right now by committing themselves to what is authentic and being responsible. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, wassalatu wassalamu ala ashrafil anbiya'i wal mursaleen wa alihi tayyibin at-tahirin. Allahumma salli wa sallim ala Muhammadin al-Mustafa wa ala aliyin al-Murtada wa ala Fatimat al-Zahra وعلى الحسن المجتبى والحسين الشهيد بكربلاء وعلى علي بن الحسين ومحمد بن علي وجعفر بن محمد وموسى بن جعفر وعلي بن موسى ومحمد بن علي وعلي بن محمد والحسن بن علي وحجة الله بن الحسن القائم المهدي المنتظر. الله